Leaders, real life leaders.
Hey guys, welcome to today's episode, and we have Chris Sanford with us. And today we are talking all about digital marketing and what you need to do to become a digital marketing guru. So what I want to start with is just some of the basics that I think people forget that are just major do's and don'ts of social media and digital marketing. And I'll give you one example that I see people do all the time. They'll go on Facebook and they'll put a post and they'll say something like, check out my new listing, and they'll put, a link, or check out this new product, and they'll put a link. Facebook doesn't like it. Maybe it's a link to another website. Maybe it's a link to YouTube. For example, Facebook and Instagram, they want you to stay on Facebook, right? So if you now are trying to drive them to another platform, YouTube or somewhere else, if you put that in your body of the post, Facebook's going to see that, or Instagram's going to see that and say, we're not showing this post to anyone. So let's start with that and just talking about some of the major do's and don'ts of social media.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, everyone. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me, Chantel. I really appreciate the opportunity. Diving into Facebook is kind of its own beast. I think that a lot of people ended up getting kind of derailed by Facebook. You go on there, you don't get a whole lot of interaction. There's just not a whole lot, but you can't really, you want to send these links, but you're absolutely right. The way that Facebook's algorithm works, as soon as you put a hyperlink in there, it just nullifies the post. And I've seen that on many different accounts, both personal and professional accounts. So that's absolutely true. When it comes down to using Facebook, just so you guys know, not only am I in the digital space, I'm also a fellow agent too. So one of the best ways to use Facebook is going to be building that rapport and really being kind of front and center of your clients. So you want to have a presentable Facebook, and it needs to be your personal page, I would recommend, just to be there top of mind with your clients, interact with them, engage with them, comment on their posts. If you want to build a following in that manner, that's how you do it. And when you're always the one that's commenting on the kids' pictures or whatever it is, you're going to be top of mind to them, and their friends and family are also going to see that individual who's doing that. So I really think that we're moving past, and I'm a hardcore, let's get on Mojo Dialer, I'm going to call, 300 leads today. I'm a call guy. I would much rather be on the phone. I really don't like texting. I would much rather be on the phone with you because my conversion level is going to skyrocket if I can get you on a call. But I think that we're moving we're moving away from that and going into more on these social platforms, especially Facebook, when it comes down to connecting on a very molecular basis to someone's needs, their personal life, and that kind of thing.
So one thing that I want to say is that I had a friend of mine who was like, Chantel, you are doing way too much on Facebook and you really need to move to Instagram. And they were giving me such a hard time. So I kind of got on Instagram. And then I actually found out the stats, and the stats for the demographic that I'm looking for are definitely on Facebook instead of Instagram. And so people are like, oh, Instagram. It's funny because I went to this conference and the guy said, he's like, I actually wouldn't do Instagram. He said, so I ended up deleting my Facebook, and on your phone, how you have the app. He's like, I deleted it so that I would only go into Instagram. And he said his business plummeted. And so if you look at the Facebook stats for demographics versus Instagram, the Instagram is so much younger, and the Instagram is like an 18 to 29-year-old, platform where a lot of those people are. And so if you're wanting higher end clients, I mean, the stats will tell you the older people are on Facebook. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more with that. And I think I know through driven data that actually, if you're looking for really high-end clients, LinkedIn is going to be the best way to connect with those professionals. Because think about it. Like I have a guy who's been trying to talk to me all morning, but I've been in and out of appointments all morning, and he's also self-employed. But the thing is he's busy, and we need our clients to be busy. Like, we want them to have a job. We want them to be busy. Like, that's how we're going to sell them a house. And so you need someone who's going to be a professional. You want someone who's busy. The busier they are, the better they are for you, if you really think about it. But yeah, I agree with that. I mean, as far as Instagram goes, a lot of the posts that I would recommend on Instagram are not the same I'd recommend on other platforms. So for Instagram, slides with music actually works really well. You talk about that versus TikTok, and TikTok is a whole beast on itself. But the ideal is, a lot of people think that TikTok is just for young people, when in fact, I mean, I'm seeing 80-year-old people host live events on TikTok daily. The do's and don'ts we'll stick to Facebook for now, but the do's and don'ts with Facebook are, don't put links into your post. Make sure you're commenting on things, guys. Even if you're like, oh, I'm going to start to comment, I don't want to be judged, like, get over it. Like, you have to get through the mindset of not caring about what everyone else is thinking about what you're about to say, and just be yourself. Because one of the biggest things I'll tell you that I learned in the last 2 years in the business is going to be, I'm not the best fit for everyone, and I'm not trying to be. You're going to resonate with so many people just by posting original organic content from yourself and interacting with people in that manner. That's going to drive you. If you like social media, you like Facebook, interact with your sphere. And by your sphere, I'm not talking about people who know, like, and trust you already. I'm talking about that friends list you have, or those pages you follow. Get interactive and be engaging in these things.
If you guys missed our last call, you guys definitely need to. I'll type in the chat the last call about other do's and don'ts that are specifically targeted to TikTok. We had some of the two biggest TikTok influencers came on the show last week and gave us a lot of really good nuggets. Let's talk a little bit about what are things that you're doing to engage more followers? Like, are there certain things that you're doing specifically, like with Reels or anything like that, that's specifically getting you more followers, whether it's hashtags or anything like that, that's an absolute must for all of your posts?
So there is a formula to it. And each platform has its own set of things that make people interact with you. The biggest thing about TikTok, we're going to talk about that, is that, like, for video's sake, we have really the patience of a chicken. Like, we want things right now. We're not going to sit around. We're not going to wait. We want it now. And so one of the things that really, really flies well on TikTok, especially, is less than 3 seconds is the hot time here. But every 3 seconds, you need to be shifting where your camera is. Like, that camera needs to be shifted. So let's say that you're making a post about, I don't know, the sky being blue. I might say something where I'm going to, at the very beginning, say, we're going to talk about the sky today, and by the end of our video, you're going to know exactly what color it truly is. Well, everyone knows the sky is usually blue, right?
Let's give another example, because let's just do a real estate example with a house. So this is really good, because if you stay in one position for too long. So what I'm hearing you say is, if you're going to do a post about a house, you better fly through that house where you're not going to just stay in the kitchen, talk about every feature that the kitchen has. We're going to kind of move from the kitchen. Now and the best parts first, right? To get them to engage in the very beginning.
100%. And that's the thing, is a lot of people, they'll do these walkthrough videos. A couple things. All of your friends list on Facebook, they're not there to just see the videos. You do have some that will be there for that. But a lot of people want to see the inside of these homes, but they're not going to sit there and watch a 20-minute walkthrough. So time lapse is your friend. Another thing that I want to point out, whenever I'm making content, it's not one long video that I'm chopping up, okay? I make little specific tidbits of a video, and I'll go to different rooms of a house. And when I do the walkthrough, it's a time lapse. So I do it on about 4 to 5x time, and I use a 4K camera when I'm doing it. 60 frames per second. All of this stuff matters, because if the resolution isn't high and your frames per second isn't high, your video content is not going to be aesthetically pleasing to a user, and that interface is going to reject it. So that's a really big thing to take in consideration on all these platforms, especially TikTok, is if your videos are not copacetic, they're not smooth, and the image is not very high level, high quality, then you're not going to get the views. It won't push you. Whenever let's say you're in an open house today, okay? I did one of these on Sunday. I did a time lapse. I said, we're going to take you, like in this particular home. Hey, I'm in Mount Dora today at this 5-3. It's a beautiful home. You should come and visit me. The address is right here. And then I'll edit it right there. And then that's the clip. camera off. Now I'll go to a different part of the house. Maybe I'll do a quick walkthrough video of the house, and then I'll time lapse it by 4 or 5 times.
My grandmother lived to 102 years old. She lived by herself and she died in her own bed. But the last 2 years, she needed help, kind of someone to be there kind of 24 hours a day. If you think about it, if you want to die in your own bed and you need help when you die, think about 24 hours a day times just $25 an hour to pay someone, which is low. 24 hours a day times 365 days, that comes out over $200,000. So you have to find a way that you can be making passive income so that you're at least, at a very minimum, making over $200,000 a year while you sleep. And so I give you some really great ideas. Go to chantelray.com/passive so you can watch the free webinar, and I give you tons of great passive income ideas. Let's talk about one thing, because as you're talking about this, what's coming up for me is that there's so many different platforms out there that people don't know about that can help you with the video editing very, very easily. And so they're basically like, there's one that I recently learned about. It's called Big View. And so I had a friend of mine, an agent, who was like, you're really good at scripts and you can just kind of rattle things off. And some people are really good at that. And some people need to have words written out for them. I'm not really one of those that need that, but some people do. So if you need it, there's a program out there called Big View, BIGVU, and you can actually type the words and it will be like literally like a transcriptor, and it can, be on there, and you'll literally look at the camera and it will be scrolling exactly what you want it to say. I know there's captions out there. So there's CapCut. Talk a little bit about some of the different tools that are available for people that they can download from either the iPhone or Android that makes their life easier.
Well, I'll tell you this much. If you will, let's say you've never done social media, if you'll go all in on how to do TikTok, you can repurpose all of that TikTok content to all of the other platforms, because TikTok has the shortest engagement. Like someone just mentioned, a goldfish, like it literally is like 2 seconds, somewhere in that ballpark. So if you can gear all of your content that way, then you can really repost it anywhere. And the reason I'm mentioning that is because reposting content is huge. Like there's a product out there called Buffer.
So let me explain to people what you're talking about. I don't know if you got this is really gold now, but what he's talking about is, let's say you see a Grant Cardone video that you're like, oh wow, that had a lot of nuggets. You kind of do like a side by side and you look at the video and you're like pointing. That's what you're talking about, right? Where you're kind of in half the video, he's in half the video, and you're making little looks like, bright eyes. So just explain it a little bit more for those people who are not as tech savvy.
Yeah. So like whenever you're going through, let's say you make a video of, I don't know, it doesn't even matter what it is. But what you need to focus on are the focal points in the video. At the very beginning of any content you make, you need to tell someone the problem that you're going to solve in the video, how you're going to solve it. And all of that needs to be done within the first 5 seconds of the video. Okay. No matter what it is. There's a product, and this is where I was going with that, Chantel. There's a product out there called Buffer. Okay. So if you make one video, then you go to the Buffer account. The Buffer account will let you do I think it's up to three social media platforms for their basic level. But what Buffer does is it will systematically post your content with the specific hashtags you want, when you want it on each platform, and you do it once. You make all of this information one time and it's set it and forget it. Okay. The reason I like Buffer is because now I'm not going to all these apps and putting all these different hashtags at different moments. I can just do it in the morning and go about my day. So I like to make content in bulk. That account is called Buffer. That's what that platform is.
Let me ask you a question about that, because, and I don't know if it's true. Someone told me that if you use a scheduling platform to make your posts, it will basically diminish a little bit. Like Facebook likes it better when you post it directly, and Instagram, like they know if you're using one of those, and so they don't boost it as much. Is that true, or you haven't seen that to be true?
I've seen it to be true, but not in this instance. So what you're talking about, I've seen it to be true. Like I'm copying and pasting an article or verbiage for a post. for some reason, TikTok and Instagram do not like copy and pasting text. I don't know why, but that's part of their algorithm. They don't like it. I haven't had that negative effects. In fact, I've had the opposite of that is now that, like we'll say ABC company just dropped a video on its TikTok, Instagram, and I don't know, Facebook account all at the same time. Now, every time that you're releasing that stuff, it's all hitting at the same. I like to do it all at the same time because as you're making these waves, if someone's on all three apps, they're seeing that same information on all three apps because they're engaged with the same kind of people, right? So if you're involved in real estate, you're likely following the same exact type of people on each platform. You want this to happen in waves. I understand what you're saying, Chantel, and I have seen that before, but it was more along the lines of posting, like copying and pasting articles or verbiage, text, that kind of thing. And that's when I see that.
So what else? What other programs? I love that idea of getting buffer to kind of, because otherwise people are like, this is a full-time job and to be having all of this social media. Give us some more tips to make it just easy where you're not having to feel like it's, consuming all of your time.
That's the biggest thing is whatever you're doing, record it. Even if you're making I know this is going to sound crazy, even if you're making a casserole, record the steps of the casserole. No matter what you're selling or what you're doing, your people want to engage with you. They need to see that human side of you. So no matter what it is, it makes you more human. Not always seeing the open house posts or the virtual tours or just listed or just sold. Like you got to be more interacting no matter what social media it is. You've got to be more interactive with the human and not with the sales aspect of it. I like to use a site called or a thing called CapCut. CapCut is awesome for editing. If for some reason, like we experienced, TikTok went down, that whole side of ByteDance stuff went down, that CapCut was part of their thing. So what I would recommend outside of that, if you don't like CapCut, and all of these things are available on both platforms, both iOS and Android. So it doesn't matter what you have, you'll be able to use these things. There are certain quirks with each one, but you'll get into it and you'll learn it that way. But basically, so you want to use CapCut or a company called InShot. InShot is where is more, it's a little bit more basic. CapCut is, I can make a video in less than 10 minutes. Like it's insane how easy it is. One of the things I really want to talk about with quality of your videos. So number one, you can use CapCut and CapCut will captionize your entire video.
To me, like that's 101. We shouldn't even have to say it. Everyone should know that now if you think about it. And think about it like this. Like if you are sleeping, if your husband's sleeping and you're in the bed and you're just kind of scrolling, right? You're not going to have the volume on. Or if you're in the doctor's office or you're here, they say that 72% of all people, it varies between 72 to 77% of all people watching the videos are watching without sound. So step number one, you have to make sure every video you do has captions, and every platform you can put captions on. You literally hit the button on Facebook or Instagram, it will do it for you. You don't even have to have another program. You literally, when you putting a reel, you click on the button that says captions, it will put it on there for you. And a lot of people don't even know that.
CapCut does a really good job. I rarely ever have to go back and edit any of its work. And it's pretty quick. Not only that, but there's a lot of things that go into that too. So there's hundreds of different options on how the text shows up on the screen. You want the text below like the bottom 30%, 25, 30% of that screen. So it's not in the middle of the screen and the focal point of whatever it is you're sharing or talking about. You need that down. It needs to be dropped down in the bottom 30% of the screen. Even if you're explaining something, even in this call right now, if I was to clip this out, I'd put a little bit of a background music into it. One of the big things you need to watch for is whenever you're putting audio or sound or whatever music onto the actual video, there's two options in CapCut. You can change the audio of the video itself, and then you can change the audio of the music itself as two separate pieces. Okay, so if you're not familiar with it, you might not have known that, but you can do both of them in two different pieces. So I recommend staying around 20% of the volume for your music, and I go full blast on the audio for the video.
That's great advice. That's really good. I want to tell you guys about something that I actually got this idea from Chris, and he presented it to me. It was brilliant. There, and I'm really big on passive income. And so I'm going to type the link in the chat, but it's chantelray.com/course, or chantelray.com/courses. And what it is it's a digital media course that, Chris is such a guru, and he's like, this is literally the best course that I've ever been to. It talks about funnels. It talks about how to do email marketing. It talks about all these different things. It talks about CapCut, TikTok. I mean, everything.
You name it, it's there.
Yes. And then what he's done is he has made it where this particular course, it's so awesome. You buy it one time. So on my thing, you can buy it one time, and then you can actually sell this course after you buy it, and then sell it for exactly the same price that you bought it for. You can't sell it for anything less than $440, but you can buy the course and then turn around and sell the course. And we even have landing pages that you can get where you don't even have to build the landing pages. You can just sell it yourself. You guys, some of you are doing the old way of real estate instead of the new way. So the old way is magazines, open houses, newspapers, door knocking, cold calling, pop buys. A lot of you are like, what the heck is a pop buy? So if you're younger, that's where you just pop by someone's house and you say, hey, I was popping by, I thought about you, and give them a little $5 gift. Well, guess what? If you're still doing things the old way, I want to teach you how to do it the new way. And that is through social media, video, running ads, and digital marketing. And we have a course that you can get all on digital marketing. I want to show you, go to chantelray.com/course and learn the new way of digital marketing. chantelray.com/course.
That's a lot to unpack. So one of the things, the biggest reason, and I have to tell you the story on why I even found this and why I support it, because everyone already knows without me saying it that everybody is selling a course. Okay. It's already out there. We all know that. But the thing is this, I went through 6 different courses, over $4,000 spent trying to and this is what I was trying to do in June of last year. I've been spending anywhere from as little as $3 and as high as $18,000 a month with Realtor.com, Google, whatever it is. Okay. So I've been on this journey, and I've been in the business almost 9 years. I've been on this journey to try to find a way to cut them out of my wallet, which if you're in the business, you know what I mean right now. You're relating to that. So I was trying to find a program that would teach me how to run SEO marketing through Google without having to rely on these big companies, so I could get out of the contracts. The very first ad I ran after I went through that DWA course, which is what she's linked there in the comments or the chat below, it taught me how to do the SEO marketing at such a high level. My first week I used it, I spent $38 and I got right under $3.8 million in potential production in lead flow. Almost $40 could equate to over 90,000, right? But that same amount of lead flow would have been, I don't know, probably $4,000 to $6,000 from those companies. The reality was, I'm just trying to get away from having to rely on other companies and their software. That was the whole premise behind it. And then it kind of snowballed. And then I dove deep into TikTok. So my TikTok experience is from July of last year to today, where I built a brand new account from 0 to right under, 14,000 followers. Okay. And a lot of those followers are all based on the content I created. And so I can share that in the chat later if you want to check that out. I am not just a realtor over there, by the way. I am just me. Like whatever it is, it's out there. I did not pick a niche on that. When it comes down to the DWA platform, you can resell it. You can resell it for as little as $450, and you can price it up as much as you want to, whatever you want it to be. If you want it to be $1,000 course, it'll be $1,000 course. What I really like what Chantel and her team are doing with it is for just $100 more, she'll build you out the whole website that took me about 8 hours to build out because I had never done it before. And I used the course to learn how to build the site. So the course paid for itself, moreover. But the thing I like about Chantel is she's going to make it really easy for you. She will set it all up. I think it's like $100 for the setup. And Chantel, you correct me if I'm wrong. It's $100 for the setup, and then every month it's $50 just to keep everything in alignment for you.
The agents that are with us don't pay any extra for that. That portion of it is free. Anyone who is with us at EXP that's in our downline don't pay anything extra for that. They get
That's
that
wonderful.
as part of being with us. But any other person that is not part of our little tribe that we like to take care of. But
That's awesome.
one of the things I wanted to talk with you about is, I think the biggest thing that I have found is, it's called Go High Level, and we give it out to all of our agents, and we actually sell it you can get it as little as $50 a month, which if you went to go do it on your own, it would be way more expensive. But Go High Level is the best company I've seen that people can run funnels out of, that has all the different pieces attached to it. Because what happens is people get so frustrated that they're like, oh, I have to go get MailChimp, and then I have to get a text platform, and then I have to get this, and then I have to get that. And then I have all these different platforms. The Go High Level plan gives it to you all in one. And we have a special deal with them where we can give you that for just $50 a month for the funnels and help you build that. So if that's something you're interested in, just email us at bod@canzel.com and we'll get you connected on that front. So give us any last minute tips, Chris, and then we're going to go into some other training that you would give people if they want to take their social media to the next level. Give us your final thoughts on that.
So it really goes back to what got me in the business to start with. Like, it comes down to your mindset. However you think about it is how you're going to feel about it. So if you are like, it's not for me, I don't want to do it, you don't want to get in front of the camera, just nobody cares what you look like, honestly. Like, just get in front of the camera and provide the value that you have between your ears. That's really all it comes down to. When it comes down to creating the content, that will come. I mean, you're just like if you were listening to Jim Rohn or Earl Nightingale or Zig Ziglar or Grant Cardone or Tony Robbins, it's all rip off and duplicate. Like, they're all saying the same thing with a different perspective, but it's all basically the same type of, it's all the same nuggets. Don't be afraid. You see me doing something, copy it. If there's a lot of views on it, copy it. You see someone else doing it, like, just recreate it and make it your own. That's what this space is. So I think that that's not said enough. A lot of people are afraid to go and rip off and duplicate someone else. Everyone is doing it anyways. So if you don't have original content, maybe you're just not in that mindset of, you're in the mindset of, I will do the work, but I don't know what I'm doing. Then just go and find someone that resonates with you and do what they're doing. Watch, you can see like how the stuff is performing. Don't be afraid to rip off and duplicate, because everyone is doing it anyways. That's my number one thing. And my second thing is going to be consistency. If you're going to do it, just do whatever you're going to do consistent. If it's going to be a video a week, make it a video every week at Thursday at 1:00. Like, whatever it's going to be, just make it super consistent, because then your audience knows when to expect it from you. Like, for me, I post anywhere from 3 to 8 videos every day on TikTok. And sometimes I chop that up and share it in other places. Sometimes I don't. And the last thing I'm going to say about this, if you're someone who is not getting any traction anywhere and you haven't really went all in on TikTok, I promise you that if you will try and make the effort, you will get views and engagement on TikTok.
And I want to say one more thing. So whatever field that you're in, and I'll use real estate because that's one of my favorite fields, is that whether you have to get up with the times. So for example, in real estate, what worked, 10 years ago was pop buys, which a lot of people don't even know what the word pop buy is. If you're brand new, it's back in the day where you pop by people's houses with these little tiny gadgets and said, hey, I'm thinking about you. Next time you have a referral, use me. But newspaper ads, paper mailers, open houses, door knocking. There's all these older methods that people are used to. And the thing is now, You have to do it digitally. You can pop by, but you have to pop by digitally through their email, through their Facebook, through all of these. So you have to get to a place where you see it's all through digital marketing. And if you are not a digital marketing specialist, then you need to go to chantelray.com/course, buy that course, learn it, saturate yourself. And then guess what? You buy that course and then you're going to, this is what the beauty is. You then turn around and sell that course to whoever you want, and you keep 100% of the profit. Nothing. You buy it one time, you can then resell it, and that's another stream of passive income.
Yep.
So we are out of time, but we're
nuggets.
not done. So stay right here because we're not done. We are still going to be, Chris, did you have a lasting thought?
Last thing, you whatever you're going to do as far as Popeyes, I want you to just, if you're willing to commit to this, take 1 hour, and you can do it 1 hour out of your day or out of your week from your lead generation, and then go on to whatever social you're already on, and just for that 1 hour a day or however often you're prospecting, take that hour and only focus on commenting on people's posts and engaging with them. And I'm not saying like, oh, it looks good. Like, that looks great. Like, how did you do it? Like, it needs to have a follow-up question. If you're not, you need to ask open-ended questions on these posts. Get these people interacting and engaging with you, which will make their followers also engage and interact with the comments. It's all about top of mind. And if you're in front of them on social, that's all that matters. I really do. And I hate to say this because I'm a master. That's the only thing I've mastered is internet lead conversion. And I feel like we're turning the page on that. It's not all texting and calling anymore. It is top of mind in front of them in those comments.
All right. Well, Chris, tell listeners where they can find you and where they can follow you.
Yeah. So you can find me on Facebook at Chris Sanford. I'll post a couple things in the comments here before I leave. So that way the links are there. All you got to do is click them to find me, because some of the pages I'm part of are really hard to find. So I'll make it as easy as possible and put it in the comments before I leave.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. And we appreciate you being here.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Real Life Leadership. If you'd like to get the show notes or access more resources, log on to reallifeleaders.com/podcast to get the show notes from this episode and any other resources we might have mentioned. And also, we'd love to hear from you. Be sure to review or rate this podcast on Apple Podcasts to help spread the word. And if you have any leadership questions you want answered, email podcast@reallifeleaders.com.